I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and I want to thank all of our panelists and speakers for participating in this quarterly mini jam. These events have been wildly successful for us, helping to drive almost 850,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And of course, we are continuing to build the always-on community site at InsideJam.com, where you can connect with experts like you'll see today, along with colleagues and peers, and continue the conversation around enterprise technology. If you haven't already joined InsideJam.com, please do. And if you have, please invite a colleague to join as well. Thank you very much for being here, and enjoy this event.
Solutions Review presents Inside Jam, an enterprise technology community.
Hello and welcome to the fourth and final panel of the Q2 Mini Jam as we continue our discussions involving agents of change. My name is Jonathan Paula. I'm the Director of Multimedia and Events here at Solutions Review. Excited to bring in our next group of experts as they discuss from Copilot to Coworker, how AI agents are redefining business process. Doug, Advit, Aparna, Jessica, Tony, and Dr. Tony, welcome. Thank you very much for your time. Let's start with some introductions. Doug, you've agreed to moderate, so I'll let you go first. 30 seconds or so. Tell the audience a bit about yourself.
Yeah, Doug Shannon, a enterprise practitioner leading Gen AI teams and automation teams. Happy to be here. I speak globally and yeah, happy to moderate and drive the conversation.
Excellent. Advit, over to you next.
Hi, I'm Advait Patel. I'm Senior Site Reliability Engineer in Broadcom. I'm also the creator for DocSec, which is an AI-powered cloud security analyzer tool. My research work focuses on agentic AI and AI agents in cloud environments.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Aparna, over to you next.
This is Aparna. I am a security leader. I've been working in federal consulting for over 12 years now. I've actually implemented Copilot for my clients. Really excited to be on this panel with you all. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hey everybody, I'm Jessica Winder Martin of JWM Concepts LLC. We are a fractional chief AI officer company. We help companies integrate AI into their processes.
Short and sweet. You guys are blowing through this. Appreciate that.
I'm from Dublin, Ireland. I'm an advisor in digital disruption, so delighted to be here with you.
Hello, Dr. Tony Rim. I'm CEO and principal consultant of AJ Rim Associates. We are a knowledge management and AI consulting, training, and research firm. I'm also a speaker, author of many books in AI and knowledge management, and very excited to be part of this panel. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you again for being here, one and all. I'm going to step out of the way and let Doug take things from here. So let's start things off.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great group to have here, right? To have the discussion on where, Copilot or chatbots have moved away. And then now we're moving into more AI agents, agentic agents, multi-agent systems, some of the things that we'll probably talk about here. So I think the first question that we'll kind of give out to our speakers here is that overall functions, like anybody have like a really cool use case that you've seen, like, with automation in the past of where technologies come, it's usually said, hey, HR or, IT is the place to start. Like, where do you see the biggest wins in starting? We could talk use cases. You could talk like general observations of like, where are those wins at? And anybody jump in.
Well, I'll jump in. A lot of these initial wins come from the customer service perspective. So the entry point of your customers into your organization, that's where AI is making inroads and decreasing call times, response times for issues with customers, self-help, customers having access to chatbots and more intelligent to answer their questions and direct them to the right people to further escalation. But that's what I'm seeing, immediate movement, right. But there's a whole lot else going on, but that's where I see immediate movement going.
Yeah, and then I think many of us have seen that how like ChatGPT and some of these large language models that are now foundational models are easy to speak to, but then when you bring it into like a customer or a company, is everybody seeing that? Is the modeling correct? Is it doing model drift? Are we seeing accuracy there that we can trust with our enterprise brands or our enterprise images?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes and no. I'm totally with Tony on this. I think the whole customer experience area is going to be totally revolutionized. And it's no longer about, call centers or BPOs having people sitting there. It's going to be about how agents are going to interact. But I think there's probably a bigger question in terms of, do we actually understand what the agents are doing? And are we happy they're doing the right things? So I think it's early days, but I think, potential is absolutely enormous.
But I want to take a look at you have to look at other examples of other companies that have already tried to do this and be careful of over relying on AI. So I think Klarna is a great example for those who are familiar. They did a 12-month hiring freeze, use AI in their customer service, and they found that they actually still need it. So the biggest thing I bring to what I do is, what are your actual problems? And let's solve them. Let's not just throw AI at something because it'll make it better. Because if you're not spending a lot of time on the phone, or your call center is actually pretty efficient, customers are being seen in 5 minutes or less, you don't have a backlog, then you don't really need to replace that with agents or bots or anything. You may have another problem that you need to solve and use AI there. So I just want to highlight that, not to be doom and gloom, but that just using it for the sake of using it is not what we want to do. We want to actually solve problems and make your life, or in the case of your business, better.
Yeah, and we see a lot of companies doing that now. They're basically saying, let me buy an agent, let me buy a thing, to then, I'm doing a thing. I'm doing the thing that everybody's saying I'm supposed to do. When we saw this with large language models when it first came out as well, everybody's like, let's go build our own large language model. Now everyone's basically saying, what's the point? Because the foundational models that are there, now it's just how do we connect to them? Not just with APIs, maybe it's MCP servers, or maybe it's other scenarios, right? So how is the audience here? How are the speakers here? How are you connecting those dots? Are you looking at MCP? Are you looking at other opportunities? Are you just looking to hold your platforms and kind of using agents as those platform connectors?
So in my organization, I think they're trying to see how we can use the AI agents in the already existing SaaS and also the PaaS platforms. So I think that way, it is seamlessly goes with all the existing platform that we have already.
Okay. Yeah, I think overall. So Jessica, you mentioned that you're doing CAIOs as fractional, which I think is fantastic. I think that's actually the direction to move, because of the fact that your C-suites and things that are out there, people are saying, how do we move? How do we drive this? It's very new technology. Do you want to have that and hire just one person to do that and be like the next Kodak, where they say, well, we don't need digital cameras and film? It's good to have multi-tenanted, multi-people to kind of drive different organizations. So
right.
How that works, and the reason why is because as we look to bring in agents, companies are asking, how do I govern that? What does that look like?
Exactly. That's actually the biggest piece that I bring in. I'm sure my fellow panelists can understand that the most important part of using AI is actually your policy, your governance, starting from step one. It's one thing I actually am scared almost when I hear clients say, or prospects say, oh yeah, my team uses ChatGPT. I'm like, are you using a Teams account?
Yeah.
If you're not, you're putting proprietary information in a training model. It's going to not everybody in the world is using. And you can lose your IP, you can lose your trademarks, you can lose a lot of valuable information or expose yourself to future lawsuits if you use other clients' information. So, for example, a marketing firm that may use Midjourney and have their team use Midjourney, are they using the company's Midjourney account? Is that a pro account? So those are different things, right? Because if not, then it's publicly available, and now you're exposing your client's data to the world, and that exposes you to a lawsuit. So that's a big piece that I add in, and that's a huge part, is starting with policy first and making sure that you're doing that from the ground up every single step of the way, and then finding the right products that you can add in, have your team using them as soon as possible so they can get comfortable with it. So that way they're bought into the process, because that's always that messy middle. And you don't want to, it's always about how do you govern the people, right? A lot of people are concerned they're going to lose their job because of AI. Sometimes you do automate out of position. And I say, give people time to adjust, give them a few weeks in payroll to figure out what they're going to do. Maybe they had projects they wanted to do. Maybe they had backlogs. Maybe they wanted to do something else altogether. Give them that opportunity. So that's a big piece that I bring in from a fractional standpoint, and why I think it's important, because for some companies, it actually makes sense maybe just to train a person to do what I do. And then if you have a big enough company, you'll have that one person that knows your company and is the AI expert, versus bringing somebody else in, which could be expensive and might take 6 months to a year before they're truly acclimated. And now you've already spent $200,000 or $300,000 on that. So you got to be very careful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the way I describe that really is intellectual surrender. You don't want to create intellectual surrender when you're giving away your IP. You're giving away like your best business practices that you're really good at, and really just like handing it out there through these foundational models. So
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Doug.
Yeah.
Just want to dovetail on what Jessica is bringing up, but she brings up a great point about AI policy and governance. That's one of the things that we do as an organization. We've worked in a number of states to help them develop their AI policies. One of the things that we do, if we have success in, we are one of the few IEEE AI ethics lead assessors in the country, that we actually are able to assess algorithms for ethical development and use. And so that comes a long way into understanding the algorithms and how they're being built and how they're being used, and the decisions being made with them. So we are able to come in and analyze those algorithms and give companies a way forward if they have gaps in their algorithms. So the policies are fantastic, the governance piece, but we try to make it actionable as well.
yeah, there's many different guidelines, but yeah. So go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, what we have seen in the world of reliability engineering is we believe that AI agents are a representation of a task representation from a task execution to goal achievement, because where the uptime of the SaaS product is very important. We need to believe that AI agents are not our assistant, but they are our co-workers. So we have to shift in that mindset as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so agents are key. Now, my question is, and a lot of people ask the same questions, is like, what is the difference between an AI agent, an agentic agent, and a multi-agent systems or multi-agent frameworks? So, like, anybody have like a definition or how you see that play out? Or, I mean, I can give my own interpretation, but happy to hear what anybody else is thinking in that way.
Maybe we'll go first.
Well, think about it in football parlance. So you got an AI agent that's quarterback, but now you have your linebackers, you got your defense, offense, kickers, you name it, and they're all working together in tandem, and they're coming up with answers and doing things. So I think one of our biggest challenges, and I think it's great that there are organizations looking at having policies for AI. I'm not sure that many actually do have policies. That's a different matter, but I think you really need to rethink the way we think of organizations, because organizations were built on command and control. But if we're now in an agentic world where things can happen, well, that's about managing for intent. And I'm not sure that many organizations are set up for that.
Well, between AI agents and agentic AI, sometimes people use it interchangeably, which, some nuances there. AI agent is a single agent, single purpose, goal directed, goal oriented, get something done, right? And a agentic framework will involve many agents working together, working autonomously. However, you can build policies within the agentic framework to put the human in the loop when necessary to review certain things and to check on how the agents are actually performing in that multi-agent framework. So as the AI agents and agentic AI evolves, there'll be more, and this is what I feel is going to happen, especially where we are as an organization helping our clients, is to build in that governance piece that Jessica brought up earlier within the agent protocols. So that's making their way in as well, and to kind of put that human in the loop situation.
Yeah. So talking about Aparna, the question to you is like, do you see how agents, when using agents in the enterprises, right, and whatnot, are you seeing human in the loop be like that first target?
Yes. So what we usually do is that we usually start with low risk tasks, right? where we also have the human in the loop and where we have the oversight, right? And we have the uh, uh, monitoring in place. And once we test out the agent and it's sort of like a sandbox environment with the human in the loop, then we start giving it more high risk, right? More high impact tasks to see how it is performing. And one more point I wanted to add to Dr. Tony's thoughts was, I think for multi-agents, we should also look at how the data is being shared, right, between the different agents. Sometimes what happens is one agent has access to view like a set of data, but the other agent does not have access to view that set of data. So there are some security risks with this, like jailbreaking of VI agents and all of that. So I think that's something to keep in mind when we look at like a multi-agent model.
It is, right? So that's kind of where I've defined it in the past of saying like, agentic is very task-based. Sometimes people talk about swarms of agents and whatnot, but I usually define it as multi-agent because you need to understand like the RBAC, the role-based access control that each of these agents can do, where they function, if they're going to handle a goal, what kind of goals are they handling, and kind of like feeding off of each other. And so I think that Dr. Sean, I think you were kind of on that same thread of understanding there. So the other side of when it comes to human in the loop is, which I believe that's very like the very first part is like, we're all trying to get enterprises to understand what agents can do. Can they collaborate? Can they help? Can they take some of that load off? And then do you see the direction of where maybe it's moving to a human on the loop eventually, where humans are then responsible for the actions? Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, when it comes to agentic AI, that's the whole deal about being autonomous. And so you don't, intentionally put too much human in the loop touch points in there. There's only critical areas where you will want to do that. And a part I mentioned earlier, like high risk agents, in that situation, you want to put some human in the loop touch points. And I'll go back to something our partner mentioned before, which I think is foundational in any of this, is your data. Your data has to have high data quality. It has to be information architecture has to be applied to it to make it accessible to agents and then multi-agent technologies. Bad data in, bad decisions out. So our partner, I'm just like, hey, when you said that, I said, yeah, absolutely.
Right. The other side of that is like, there's data and there's how you connect to it, but like, how do you trust the data? And you could say like, oh, it's a source of truth and whatnot, but like getting the enterprise and getting those users to be enabled and really empowered to use that data, agents can provide some of that, those use cases provide some of that interaction, but how do you gain that trust? And that's why I mentioned that human in the loop is first, because you have to like use it, right? We have to get people to do that. And then there's the trust factor. But anybody else seeing any issues like around trust or, even the model drift, or are we still talking about hallucinations, or have we kind of moved away from that? Advent Patel, like, do you have any background in there?
Yes, actually we do, because we are in the field of site reliability engineering, right? And if we talk about SRE agents, we have to be very particular about what decisions they make, and also if it is impacting this overall productivity of the system or not, right? So that's like we treat AI agents just like any other SaaS product, where we implement or where we focus more on observability, where we track all the metrics, all the data, all the monitoring and all. And at the end of the day, we track those decisions. We track or we audit those decisions that the AI agents make, so that we make sure that whatever input that was given to the agent, whatever permutation combination that the agent did, and whatever was the outcome. So we also have the human eyes on top of the agent, so that we make sure that whatever agent produced is actually trustworthy.
Okay, so that's audit layers, right, and understanding that. But on the digital disruption side, so Tony, the digital explorer, like how are you seeing the disruptions, or where are you seeing those disruptions come from, and what are you seeing from that side, since you're disrupting it?
Yeah, well, look,
I think this is a really interesting conversation because ultimately, we're responsible, regardless of what the technology does. We are responsible, and if we're not, happy with outcomes because we haven't looked at to see does this make sense, you can't blame the technology because the technology, good and all as it is, it's a human responsibility. I think, look, there's a whole raft of issues in here in terms of, do we understand what the agents are doing? Is our data good? Do we know if our data is reliable, if it's trustworthy, etc.? But I'm not sure organizations are, set up to understand the world we're moving into, where there will be autonomous agents working as co-workers in your organization and driving results. And the question I have is, are organizations ready for that? And are we still trying to work on a command and control and just overlay all this AI technology on top of it? And I suspect we are. I'm listening to the conversation carefully. I mean, I talk to a lot of organizations and, you ask them a simple question. Well, what is your, responsible and ethical use of technology and AI policy? And, they don't all have it. So I am concerned that, there's organizations experimenting and hoping for the best.
I mean, when you look at it, right, traditionally every business is a very hierarchical business, and we're looking to bring in AI and AI agents, which are very decentralized. And so when you have that aspect, that's something I think we all should talk about, is like, really, how does that play in? We bring in the collaborators, we bring in the agents, we bring in the things, and we're building these systems that are connecting to these foundational models, the large language models. But how can we change the C-suite to see that? Some of that's fractional CAIOs, right? But what else has to change? I think the culture of the business has to change.
Yeah, I agree. The culture and the orientation, it needs to move from command and control to orchestration, but orchestration with your eyes open.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, spending a lot of time in AI ethics and responsible AI. That is the $1 trillion question, right? To make sure that what we have is working the way we intended to work and using the data that we believe is ethically sound, trustworthy, and put together the way that the algorithms can actually use it. And so that goes in there are whole departments from data security, data governance, that you have to get involved to make sure that that data is correct. And to Tony's point, we all are humans. We building these systems, so we are accountable. And I'll go back to what I was saying about the IEEE assessor program that we have, and that we've where with our consultants, is that they assign responsibility, actually human responsibility, to these areas. So that takes what Tony is saying and making it more actionable. So companies that are taking that next step to certify their algorithms, they are putting more onus on the human in the loop from that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, so with AI and the way they see it, like the nuance that was taught, the information that we've put out there, and we talk about ethics, we talk about biases, but as humans, it's kind of our fault that AI is biased, because it's kind of, we're the people that put the information out there. So hopefully everybody approves of that. I think it's been studied, like humans carry about 50 different biases with them at any given day. So like, I think the way I see it is AI is kind of holding up a mirror to humanity and saying like, hey guys, get it right, because we're all the same. We're all the same humans. Yes, we have different like personal beliefs or personal things that we do or mantras or whatever. But as a company, companies have their own culture too. And it's holding up a mirror to that as well. And I think companies need to pay attention to what's being seen, because when you have the average person that works at a company leaving every 2 years anyway, why is that? And that's around every industry. I think we all are shaking our heads like we see this. And so if that's the norm, what happens when we have AI kind of watch past 2 years or past 4 years? What does that look like? And happy to, hear what you guys have to think about that.
I think what we're going to see in the workforce is a lot more movement towards business to business and small business development. We're going to see a lot of the bigger companies, that already are large. They're like, even though Klarna didn't work out for them, but they're doing hiring freezes or being careful about hiring, because a lot of different lower level tasks can be automated out. That's going to cause people to focus on cultural fit, right? So it's going to go all the way 100% back to cultural fit. It doesn't matter if you're great at making PowerPoints anymore because there's programs that can make PowerPoints. Right. So we can't just keep somebody around just because they're good at what they can do, only if we all can't stand them. And we're going to see a lot of people kind of going out and making their own companies that are subcontracting and collaborating. I see that now. I'm sure all the rest of the panel, because we're in that AI space. Any project that I'm working on myself, it's really me and 2 or 3 or 4 other companies, and we're coming together and co-collaborating as partners, as business partners, and establishing a separate little business of all of our businesses working together to do this project. Or communities, we've already seen that with Insight Jam, right? You have communities that are coming together and bringing business owners together. So that's what I say the future of the employment space is a lot more small businesses opening up and working together and collaborating on the highest level, because we can automate out all the other tasks. We don't need someone to spend their full time on that. And we see companies are going to have much smaller teams in general. That's what I think is the future.
Okay. And Tony, did you want to jump in? I think you were saying something.
Yeah, I think, look, I agree with all that, but I think, look, humans don't make optimal decisions, period. We satisfy, so basically it's good enough, so we do it. Now, what this AI will start to do is it'll start to remove the limitations of human knowledge and human constraints. And if we are clever enough and we start to harness that, we actually can see organizations moving into far more strategic decision-making, because a lot of organizations, they think they're doing strategy. They're not. They're just doing implementation. But I think there's a real opportunity here to go beyond what we know today, remove the limitations, and actually start to really understand the organization, its business, and its customers, and make great decisions that will actually see the organization survive into the future.
There's a big part of that, right? So, I mean, traditionally everybody's been learning through schooling and college, and they learn something really good to become a professional at that one thing. And it's looking like jack of all trades, and those that have passion in different things are really kind of leading into that. And so the one thing I see it's important is what we're doing now. We're live, we're doing information, we're being authentic with what we're talking to. Social media, like, do you think that everyone needs to be socially out there to show what they're doing, to show those passions? Is that the future of what people are going to be seeing?
Yeah, I think absolutely, Doug. I think, previously we used to have this term, fake it till you make it, right? But in today's day and age, you have to make it first in order to even apply for a job. You have to have like a portfolio. And I think to Jessica's earlier point, I think she is right about some of the entry level, like roles being eliminated. But I also think, AI agents will actually create new roles, right? Because like with any new technology, I think AI will also bring its own set of new roles. Like for AI agents, I'm already seeing some roles like AI operations manager, for example, right? And orchestration of agents will also need a role. So while we are talking about some of the routine, maybe roles being eliminated, I also see a great opportunity that AI will create a lot of new roles. So I think as tech professionals, we have to constantly make sure we are staying updated. And I also feel we have to prepare ourselves for the new roles which will be created.
I mean, new technology speak up. So, but Avid, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree with Jessica and Aparna as well, right? It's not like AI is gonna remove the jobs, but let's think in a positive way that it is gonna create more jobs as well. The titles will be different, like there will be prompt engineers, there will be AI ops managers or AI workflow engineers and all, right? So instead of engineers focusing on how to save jobs or how to not let AI take over, but instead engineers will think more about teaching agents what is good actually in terms of developing more models and creating more agentic systems.
I mean, there's a question there, right? So like, do we need more prompt engineers? Because as it's going with chain of thought that came out and how some of these reasoning models are actually leveraging that and saying like, you'll ask it a question, you'll tailor your need, and it will then ask you questions to kind of like get a better idea, fine tune it a little bit. When companies are looking at bringing in like citizen developers and using AI agents to really drive more engagement, more collaboration, more things forward, is that the future? Like, if we're going to say we need all these different jobs and we need these prompt engineers, like, do we? Because like we needed that a year ago, but we don't really need that now. We still need some probably on the data scientist side and whatnot, but like on those jobs, like jobs will be gone, but not all jobs. And so like, what are some of the other things that anybody here is seeing?
Well, I think some of these jobs are going to be enhanced. Well, you're saying we don't need prompt engineers, but I think you need more subject matter experts that understand prompt engineering from the aspect of training and testing algorithms, and to the generative AI piece, and to make sure that we understand what the end results are, what decisions are being made by the algorithms, and how did they get there. Having someone that's subject matter experts in these areas are going to play a key role. Just like we see the generative AI being able to do code, right? The right Python code, C++, whatever code. You still need a subject matter expert to understand and optimize that code. Understand that code to a point where, hey, I see gaps in what the program has delivered. Let's optimize this for our environment and things like that. So the positions are going to shift. It's going to be more critical thinking, more SMEs in these areas, driving how these agents and other AI applications actually are trained and actually work. And so we can work better to deliver what we intend.
Right. So more jobs like version control, change controls, right? Driving that forward. So we see that aspect. And so, the thought there is, maybe going back to basics. Like, so if you're having agents and you want to see like where that's going in the business, like how, again, like the people that are watching this are like, how do we get this started? Do they buy it? Do they build it? Do they partner? What is the best solutions that you guys and everybody here is really seeing?
One thing I find a lot of companies, every company wants their own app, right? Everybody wants their own app. Everybody wants their own proprietary software. And honestly, there's so much that's available open source. There's so much that's available off the shelf. You need to take a look. I always come back to what is your actual problem? What are your considerations? And then how do you solve them? So if you're working with like a law firm, you have a lot of considerations about confidentiality, right? They want to make sure everything's private and kept on their own system to keep things confidential. Fine. But then you don't necessarily have to build your own LLM from scratch to do that. You can pull an open source model, put it on your system to solve that problem. So for a lot of what we see, as far as how to do, what to use, should we do proprietary? Should we do something off the shelf? There's thousands, tens of thousands of programs that are available off the shelf that you can use, and you can put that onto your own system, or it'll have your own little niche within their system, your own little nook, if you will, your own little section of their cloud that is secure. So you don't necessarily have to build everything off the shelf. It just really comes back to what are your actual problems. Even if you have $100,000 budget or $1 million, $10 million budget, the solution to your problem might cost 1/10 of that, even including labor. So it's not just about trying to be stingy or any kind of way. It's just solve the actual problem in a way that makes the most sense, not in the way that's always the most pretty or glamorous or sexy, that sounds cool. Oh, we have our own app. Did you need it? Because you might have been able to use somebody else's software for $200 a month for the whole company, and it would have solved your problem much easier, much faster to implement, get better upgrades and updates than doing it yourself. And now your team has to manage it. Do they even know how? What solves the problem?
Yeah, Jessica really brought up a really good point. It's not about ownership, but it should be about optimization. And that's how, with that reason in mind, I created a DocSec agent where it actually goes into your containerized applications. It scans it, it detects the vulnerabilities, it suggests you the fix, and then based on your integration with CI/CD pipelines, it deploys the fix as well. So it really should be an optimization rather than who owns it and how much we know it.
Yeah, and what this panel is fantastic, by the way. Jessica mentioned, add to that, the companies need to understand their business processes and make sure they're optimized before you start bringing in technology, especially AI. You talked about, knowing your problem. You need to do some root cause analysis, right? Build a business case. Do those upfront critical thinking activities to make sure you hone in on the right problem. And then align the data to that and then go from there. Because Jessica hit the home run with that. It's like, look, are you solving the right problem? Are you buying something that you need? Let's take a look at that first.
Yeah. So talking about processes, talking about technology and how technology is not going to solve it, but let's look at where we came from, right? So automation, RPA. When you're looking at the world of agents and AI, are you still using automation, or are you saying everything AI and everything agents? What do you guys see in your spots? What is a partner like maybe IBM? Like what are you consulting over there? What's your yeah?
I think we usually go for a hybrid model, Doug, right? Combining RPA and adding AI on top of RPA. So it's like AI is the brain, right? And RPA is like the body, if you will. We use RPA for like more structured data tasks, like let's say form filling, right? And I work for a healthcare client where we use RPA for like data entry and form filling. But we use AI for like chatbots where it can tailor more personalized experience. I think with AI agents, right, I think the advantage is even if the data is not structured, right, it can go through emails, it can go through images, it can go through social media, it can judge the sentiment, right? So I feel like using both together, and if you're already using like Gen AI or RPA, I think AI agents will work very well seamlessly with those. And I think together, I think they will provide like a much better customer experience as well.
I agree with Aparna because we live in the world of distributed systems, right? We don't know what components work in what way, but we need an environment which works dynamically rather than working on a predefined rules or preset of instructions.
Hey, Tony, I had something, yeah.
Yeah, Doug, can I be controversial here now for a moment?
Yeah.
Look,
If you don't have
history is a great educator, and if we look at the trillions of dollars that have been spent on digital transformation in the last 2 decades, most of it has not worked, it has been suboptimal. And a lot of it is because, it was just technology solutions being implemented into organizations. And I think we're at an interesting juncture in AI where, we've gone past, the experimenting, writing poems with Gen AI and things like that. And firms are now starting to look at pilots and whatnot. But the key here is, if we just think about this as a technology overlay into a business, we've missed the whole point. And we will end up repeating the same problems that we've had for the last 2 or 3 decades. So I think this is about fundamentally rethinking your business, rethinking your organization, and rethinking what it means to be relevant and competitive in the future.
And that's why it's not just a use case chase. Like 100%. That's why when people talk about use cases, I'm like, hold on, you're thinking about this wrong. But Jessica, are you seeing the same thing on the fractional side? Like, where's the win there? Do you chase the use case, or maybe sometimes you got to deal with the customer? Right? Sometimes the business is so static. They're like, we want just the thing. Like, no. But how do you drive that?
Yeah, I mean, I think 90% of any kind of consulting work is really client management. Let's be honest. You're really an underqualified therapist for everybody. So there's always those people who come and they say, well, I just think if we got an agent, it would solve all the problems. Or, I just think if we just use this, it'll solve all the problems. And I was thinking about if I just fired all of our receptionists and I could just replace them with agents. And it's just like, no, this is, again, that's why I keep saying it sounds like a broken record. What's the actual problem? I can think of 10,000 use cases, right? And I can pick out almost any program that is one specific use case, and I could probably use it for 5 other use cases, right? So it's sure, there's use cases everywhere, but what is the actual problem that we're looking to solve? Or if you don't think you have a problem, that's fine. What are your backlogs? Do you have an operational deficiency somewhere, right? Do you have any kind of, are you, because you get more money, right? Do you need more leads? Are you having trouble raising the price of your service? There is something that can be improved upon, even if you don't see it as a key problem, if that's not why you're talking to me. So, when people come to me, that's usually, this is my one problem. I want to solve it with AI, or AI is the future, and I want to be the guy who's ahead of my competition. And, I used to think that the person who had a problem they wanted me to solve was the best person. But I find that sometimes that they realize that they don't realize that there's a bigger issue. It's a bigger issue. You're not using the existing softwares correctly, as already been mentioned, right? You have a CRM and you're not using it, then adding AI to your CRM isn't going to help you at all. Use your CRM. That's the real issue.
Yeah, get on downstream. Yeah, if you're just focused on the front office and money comes in and where the deals are done, great. That's where the money is. But the back office is usually major in disarray and needs to be resolved. And so, but the comment I was talking about when it came to automation and agents is agents are still using tokens, just like on the LLM side, and tokens cost money. And over time, many of the enterprises I've seen and talked to and consulted with are basically saying like, hey, after 3 to 6 months, it's costing a lot of money. I don't know if I'm getting the value, right? And so there's that side, and then there's the automation side where you control the licenses cost, and then it just kind of like you get works and you get focus on the ROI. But how is everybody here seeing that kind of mix? Like, are you seeing that cost go up? Are you seeing that visibility? Are you looking at building dashboards that you're like, what does that look like? Maybe Dr. Tony, are you teaching? You do a little bit of like the knowledge training, right? So like,
I do a little bit of everything on this spectrum, right? So a lot of research, a lot of teaching on the AI KM side. It's as far as costs, and the one thing we haven't talked about is the energy use in this whole thing, which also drives up the cost. There has to be ways to minimize that, and it's not enough research that has been done in that space to address that. You look at tokenizations, and you look at the ability to run on all the cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and folks like that, to be able to scale and faster based on what your use will be. I think that is a good way to go, because you can control your costs based on the scale and what these hyperscalers give you. So it's just it comes back down to your technology strategy, understanding your technical debt and your in your whole tech stack for what you're doing holistically in your company, and where does AI fit based on what Jessica is preaching, and I'm buying it all the way to the bank, is your business problem that you're trying to solve. So that is going to help you control some of those costs, but you got to come in with your eyes wide open, because the cost factor is the environmental piece as well, which we have to make sure we take a look at.
Yeah, and on that cost factor, right? It's a matter of like, if you're doing 1,000 PDFs every day and your people are doing that with agents, it's going to cost a lot of money. But what if you build in that automation? What if you take apart like the IBM side of that, of what she said, and said, hey, let's use what you need when you need it, because there's going to be cost savings there. And so I think that's where with the takeaway here is that we can give people. And other than that, I know it was real quickly, but I know we were talking about SaaS. And I wanted to get everybody's understanding and feedback on, like, is SaaS going away? Is software as a service going away? And is becoming more agent as a service? Anybody want to chime in there?
Yeah, I think it is.
Go ahead. I think all of us jumped in on that. I can go first.
Everybody say, it is.
It's a good marketing term, from selling SaaS to selling A.
Well, I mean, don't say it.
That's a good
We spell out acronyms.
Yes, that one. A.
Two A's in there.
Marketer within me.
But
I think, I've seen many interviews recently where they said that SaaS is dead, right? I'm sure even you guys have seen.
SEO, yeah.
Yeah. And I work, like extensively with SaaS, and I do believe that AI is fundamentally changing the way I think the SaaS tech stack is, right? Like it's uh, reimagining like workflows, chatbot conversations. So I think SaaS as we know it today will not have the same definition, maybe even like 1 year down the line. So I do believe that it's going to change a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think things change either names or they get a new name or they get redefined. So what we'll do now is now that we're kind of reaching the end here, we can definitely talk about different things and I'll go through every single person, but maybe as we go through every single person, like what did we maybe miss out on that we didn't get to talk about? Because I mean, it's a short amount of time. Unless Tony, you wanted to add something real quick or?
Yeah, no, I wanted to add and we missed out on this because look, one of the things, we are probably moving from SaaS to agentic, etc. But one of the costs that no one talks about is actually are we losing cost of control? Because whose agents are they? And what do companies become? Do they become very clever organizations or organizations that are using someone else that has clever technology? And I think organizations need to think this one through because there are a lot of hidden costs, including lock-in costs, that organizations haven't thought through.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree. It's the Toys R Us deal where they get sold off because Amazon basically does it better. And so when you commoditize, when you agree to give people out, like that's again, intellectual surrender. You're giving your intellect out to others. So let's go through Advent. What are your takeaways? How do people get a hold of you? Anything you want to add? And we'll just kind of go through the list.
My takeaways are there should always be a human intervention because we need someone to trust. We need someone to audit the decisions that AI agents make. And I don't believe that it will be fully automated. There will always be human intervention, and it's for the good. I can be reached out at my LinkedIn, also my email address, and I have been in this space researching on agentic AI agents and in the cloud native infrastructure. So that would be the probably best way to reach out to me.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, like where you're at and what you do and what to reach out to you about. So Aparna, since you're next to my list, so go ahead and give your outro thing.
So I think organizations have to train as many people as soon as possible on AI because AI is already here. It is not a fad. It is not a trend. It is not in the future. It is already here. So please train yourself in AI. If you have your training, please make sure that you are in touch with all the concepts, and you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn.
Sounds good. And then talking about training, like Dr. Tony, so any items that we didn't get to touch on and share about that you wanted to kick in?
Yes. I know I believe that the AI agents, multi-agent frameworks are going to continue to evolve. The one thing that we really have to do is get control of them, understand governance, understand ethics and responsible use of AI. Our company, we just recently launched our AI COE, and one of the major pillars of that is AI literacy. And we put together AI literacy for boards and executives to understand AI better so they can make better decisions from a board and executive level. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and also my company, AJ Rim Associates, is on LinkedIn or ajrim.com. Go right directly to our website. I've also, my latest book, Essential Topics in Artificial Intelligence, has been out for about a year now. And so I'm always around talking about AI knowledge management conferences here in the US and in Europe. So reach out.
Sounds good. And then Tony Maroon, the Digital Explorer, like anything that you added that one part, but like go ahead and is there anything else?
No, look, I think we're at an inflection point where organizations need to think about what they need to be to lead into the future, and what type of leadership they will need for, semi-autonomous organizations, and how they're going to organize for that. Because, I'm not sure organizations have got their arms around it. In terms of me, you can reach me on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, my newsletter is there as well, and I write about this stuff on a weekly basis.
I feel you on that. I do a lot of the same. But Jessica, on your side, anything that you wanted to add, especially kind of around like what you're seeing with what you're doing? Yeah, go for it.
Yes, there's actually a lot of companies that are hesitant to adopt AI. We're seeing a lot of companies that want to be late adopters. And so my statement to those people who maybe have been watching what we have to say and maybe are concerned and are hesitant to get into AI, where we are with AI today is where we were with internet in 1996. So however you think about AI today, imagine you apply that towards your view of internet in 1996. Do you think your business would have survived 30 years? And if not, what would you have had to adjust, or would you have had to change in order to adapt and survive? So think about that when it comes to AI and how you're looking at applying this and using it in your risk assessment and knowledge. So if you could go back to 1996 with internet, I think you would look a little differently. And so far as how to find me, I'm on LinkedIn, Jessica Winter with a Y, Martin. I'm the only one in the world. You can find me just about on every social platform under that name. And for my company, you can find us jwmconceptsllc.com. And you can feel free to contact me via LinkedIn. And we have our company does have a podcast. It's under a different brand name called Black Girls in AI. But if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see me posting that all over there as well.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. So the one thing I wanted to, I think there was one part actually. Advent, you mentioned you have a book that might be coming out here soon?
Yeah, I have been writing a book with Stranger Nature, and in which I am talking about how to implement AI concepts using Google Cloud Platform. So that will be coming out in next month, I guess.
Yeah, eventually I'll finish mine, but that's a whole other story. But in general, so the one thing I wanted to add to this conversation is that, technology is moving fast. And when it does, and what we're seeing is, when Sam Altman said, like, stop saying thank you because it's burning down the GPUs, that's kind of incorrect. And the reason why it is because inferencing is now coming into play. It's a new technology, kind of like beyond RAG, and where it's essentially saying, like, those tokens that are used on things like thank you or things that are part of your organization already are being inferenced and being captured. So it's already a captured token that isn't being re-asked. And so when you say thank you and greetings and regards, like, those are all inferenced. And that's where enterprises are able to, again, take not just the stuff that these foundational models are giving us and these models that have what they have, like, they're going to get trained over time too. So when they get the next model, some of that inferencing will be followed over there as well. And so it's a lot on the enterprises right now. And I know the enterprises are feeling that crunch. And there's a lot of experts here talking about it. And I'm glad that we were able to kind of talk that through and have a good time doing it. So what I'll do at the end here is I'll see if Jonathan comes back in, and we'll call it a day. And fantastic talking to everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doug, for moderating. And thank you to our panel for giving us an hour of your time and going over this topic. It has been such fun to listen in on. But before we part ways, I want to quickly plug a few things from our side of the table. First and foremost, we hope you join our growing community over at insightjam.com. Join the conversation and learn all about enterprise technology, and even meet and connect with some of the experts on this discussion panel here. And if you'd like to watch more video highlights, podcasts, expert advice, live programming, we hope you join the 850,000 people that have already subscribed to our YouTube channel. You can find that Insight Jam right on YouTube. Can't miss it. That will do it for us. Thank you very much for watching and listening. My name is John. We appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
For video highlights, replays, and more, visit insightjam.com.